Knock on the Saints door. Quarterback sneak by Tom Brady to the 43-year-old score. He did. Touchdown, Tampa Bay. Now spiked that ball, Tom Brady. Who says I'm 43? He runs right up the gut and scores 6. 7. Handoff, run the ball. Fournette slashes away to the 40, to the 35, to the 30, to the 30, 25, to the 20. Fournette to the 10, 5, 3, 2, 1. Touchdown, Tampa Bay. Run the ball, Leonard Fournette. Wow, what a blast up the gut, found daylight, and outran everybody. Fire the cannons, get them going. Bucs win. Bucs win, Bucs win. Fire them cannons.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Swords Up Podcast. Today we're going to be talking about our 26-14 win against the Minnesota Vikings in Week 14. It's been a while since we've gotten a win under our belts, and this is an important win that helps us in the playoff push. Obviously, with this win, we are now 2 games inside of the playoffs, sitting pretty comfortably at the number 6 seed so far. And so today we're going to be talking about what this means for us, and as well as the stats and the key players from this game. Okay, so just one injury note that I wanted to take a look at as a result of this game, and that was Ronald Jones, who apparently suffered a fractured pinky finger in this game, so we're going to have to take a look at that coming into next week. I know there were a couple more injuries to other players in this one, but this was the really important one that I wanted to keep an eye on. So we'll see if Ronald Jones is available for next week or not, as his status is kind of up in the air right now. But I do want to get to our player of the game first. I'm going to be highlighting Antoine Winfield this week. I thought he was really great and all over the field. Like I've kind of mentioned of our linebackers before, this week it was Winfield who was making those plays from sideline to sideline. And in this game, he had 11 total tackles, so he was our leading tackler. And then he also had a sack and a forced fumble, and then was also really good in coverage throughout the game. So it's just really solid all around and really helped our defensive effort in the second half after a little bit of a shaky start. All right, now getting into the stats, let's start on the Vikings side of things first. And Kirk Cousins really didn't have to do much early in this game, but as the Vikings fell behind, he was kind of thrust into action. And in this game, he was okay. Nothing really special, as he had 24 completions on 37 attempts, 225 yards, 1 touchdown, and no interceptions, although I thought he should have had a couple. He was really close to having an interception. Dalvin Cook, as usual, had a really good game. And I'll talk later that our run defense did not really have the best of days, surprisingly. But Dalvin Cook, per usual, had over a 100-yard rushing game, which was on 22 carries for 102 yards and 1 touchdown, averaging 4.6 yards per carry. Kirk Cousins had 5 carries for 41 yards himself, and Amir Abdullah, 3 carries for 11 yards. Mike Boone, 2 carries for 8 yards. Irv Smith Jr. was the leading receiver there, number 2 tight end, with Kyle Rudolph being out. He played an important role in this one. 4 catches for 63 yards and 1 touchdown for Smith. Tyler Conklin, the number 3 tight end, 5 catches for 40 yards. He was the second leading receiver. Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson surprisingly had pretty quiet games, and I thought Carlton Davis did a pretty good job on Justin Jefferson in this one. Thielen had 3 catches for 39 yards. Justin Jefferson, 4 catches for 39 yards. C.J. Ham, the fullback, 3 catches for 22 yards. Amir Abdullah, 2 catches for 10 yards. Dalvin Cook, 2 for 8 yards. And Mike Boone, 1 for 4 yards. Defensively, the leading tackler in this one was Todd Davis, the linebacker that they picked up from the Broncos, who was released earlier in the season. He had a bigger role in this one, with Eric Kendricks being out. 7 total tackles for him, followed by Harrison Smith with 6 total tackles, and Jeff Gladney, their corner, 5 total tackles. DJ Wanham had the only tackle for a loss, and there were no sacks by the Vikings defense, so another good performance from our offensive line, keeping Brady pretty clean. And then Eric Wilson and Cameron Dantzler had 1 pass defended each. Dan Bailey had a pretty rough day. I'll get into more of that later, but he was pretty terrible. 0 for 3 on field goals and 0 for 1 on extra points. Now getting to the Buccaneers side of things, and Tom Brady also didn't really have to do much earlier in this game, but he was effective when he needed to be and didn't turn the ball over, which is also pretty important. 15 completions on 23 attempts for 196 yards and 2 touchdowns for Tom. Ronald Jones on the ground, 18 carries, 80 yards, and 1 touchdown, averaging 4.4 yards per carry. So good to see Ronald Jones getting some increased action in this one. He's really been quite the player for us this season. LaShawn McCoy was thrust into the number 2 running back role, with Leonard Fournette actually being a healthy scratch for this game, which was pretty unexpected. So he ended up being the number 2 back and our third down back in this one. He ended up getting 4 carries for 32 yards. Tom Brady was credited with 3 carries for -2 yards, and those are on kneel downs to end the game. Keyshawn Vaughn had 1 carry for -3 yards. Leading receiver in this one was Mike Evans, 3 catches for 56 yards, followed by Antonio Brown, 5 catches for 49 yards. Scotty Miller had a 48-yard touchdown, this one on a beautiful throw from Tom Brady, and that was his only catch of the game. Chris Godwin, 2 for 25, who was actually pretty quiet, surprisingly. Cameron Brate, 1 catch for 9 yards. Ronald Jones, 1 catch for 4 yards. LaShawn McCoy, 1 catch for 3 yards. And Rob Gronkowski, 1 catch for 2 yards and 1 touchdown. Defensively, I mentioned that Antoine Winfield was our leading tackler with 11 total tackles, also having a sack and a forced fumble. Devin White and Levante David second with 9 total tackles, followed by Carlton Davis with 6 total tackles, and Ndamukong Suh with 6 total tackles as well, also having a sack and a tackle for a loss. Also having sacks for Shaq Barrett with 2, Jason Pierre-Paul and Patrick O'Connor with 1 each. Patrick O'Connor also having a tackle for a loss, Shaq Barrett having 2 tackles for a loss, and Levante David 1 pass defended. Carlton Davis also had a pass defended, and then in addition to Antoine Winfield's forced fumble, Jason Pierre-Paul also had a strip sack on Kirk Cousins, which he recovered himself. And then Ryan Suckup went 2 for 2 on field goals and 2 for 3 on extra points. All right, so now that we looked at the stats, just looking at the keys to why we won this game. And we had a really good offensive game plan in this one, very efficient play. And I like the changes that we made coming out of the bye week. I think it was a bold move to make Leonard Fournette a healthy scratch in this one, but LaShawn McCoy actually provided a little bit of extra juice on third down for us. I say he played a pretty decent factor. He had a couple of good runs and then also got open on pass plays quite often, even though he only got 1 catch. Ronald Jones also had a good game. I liked that we were getting him more involved in the offense. I think when Ronald Jones is going, we are at our best. And then also, Antonio Brown's snap count really went down in this one, although he had the most catches of anyone and tied for the most targets in this game. His snap count actually went down from around 75% to around 50%. And then Scotty Miller's snap count also went down. He only saw the field, I think it was like either 4 or 5 times, but he made the most of it with that 48-yard touchdown. So hopefully he sees some more action. I think he really deserves it. But the reason for this was because we were getting more 2 tight end sets in the game because we were running the ball more. So we were seeing more of Gronkowski and Cameron Brate in this one. And even though they weren't really involved in the pass game as much in this one, they were definitely key contributors blocking in the run game. And then something that really surprised me was seeing our run defense in the first half wasn't really that good, and I thought the Vikings were going to be able to have their way in this one. Seeing how they came out in the first quarter, I was a little nervous, but we really did tighten it up in the second half. Also, it helped that we did get out to a lead, capitalizing on the Vikings' mistakes due to those missed field goals from Dan Bailey. But getting out to a lead going into half forced the Vikings to pass the ball, get away from the run game a little bit more, and then that was really favorable for our defense because I thought our pass defense really matched up well with the Vikings receivers in this one, which was a little surprising to me too. But it's good to see that our pass defense really stood up and did their job in this one. Also, the pass rush did a really good job. We got some really good pressure on Kirk Cousins in this one, forced him to get the ball out early, and that helped our defense really get off the field and create more opportunities for our offense to score. I mean, a 6-sack performance from our pass rush, I'd say, is a really great performance to put up. And then I kind of put this down as a little bit of a joke, but to be fair, this actually was a pretty important reason why we did end up winning this game. And this would have been a completely different game if Dan Bailey actually made any of his field goals. He missed 4 kicks in this game. He was pretty terrible. I'm surprised he hasn't been cut yet, but he missed 3 field goals and 1 extra point, and this game could have been completely different if he had made any of those kicks. But, I still think the better team won in this one, and good teams are able to capitalize off opponents' mistakes, and the Buccaneers were able to do just that in this one. So now with this important win over the Vikings, it means we are firmly in the 6th seed right now in the NFC. Cardinals behind us by 1 game. They are 7-6. Buccaneers, of course, are 8-5. Vikings dropped to 6-7 in this one, and also the Buccaneers have a head-to-head win against them. I think our ticket is very much punched into the postseason with this win. We'll see if it'll be officially secured with a win next week against the Falcons. So looking forward to that matchup next week. But that is pretty much it for this video. Let me know what you thought about the game and other action from week 14 in the comments below. And I will see you guys in the next video for week 15. But thank you guys for watching, and go Bucs.